Fire away.
Okay, so Kale, I'll ask you some questions about the last update we were reading on your official Blizzard website. So here are the questions we're make for this interview. New map was announced in last BlizzCon, and your team was working on it since then. Can you tell us how long could it take to create this new battlefield, and how long does it take to create a new map in general?
Sure. So typically the process to make a battleground is pretty involved, and it relies really heavily on kind of the pre-production phases, which involve like we do paper designs where it's just kind of literally writing down on paper what you think the mechanics are of a battleground, what the purpose of it is, how it's different from our other battlegrounds. A lot of what we're trying to speak to is battleground to battleground. We want the strategy and the mechanics to change up enough that when you queue up for a game and then you go to the next game, that as you play the game on the next battleground, the game dramatically changes, and the way you play your heroes changes. The heroes you want to play changes. The heroes the team compositions want to change to speak to the map as well. So we really focus early on about trying to solidify an idea for a battleground that that feels new and fresh, and that is a change of pace from what we already have in the game. So there's a multi-week period just of the paper design, just trying to figure out what is this thing, what are we trying to accomplish with it. That goes, once it kind of goes through a round of kind of group approval of people saying, this sounds cool, let's do it. It goes into a prototyping stage, and we're really fortunate that we have a very robust tool set. Heroes of the Storm is built on the same tools and engine that we made StarCraft 2 on, so we're able to stand up an actual playable prototype of a battleground within just a matter of a week or two. And as soon as it's ready to play, like as soon as it's functional and anyone can get on it, we basically start throwing people at it and start playing it. So there's multiple weeks of designer playtests where the core design team that works on Heroes, they put it through its paces. They meet immediately after each game and they fire a barrage of critiques and ideas and corrections. And then immediately those things get implemented on it, and we go straight into another round of that, and that goes on for a while. When they feel comfortable with that, it goes into a team playtesting mode where the Heroes of the Storm team and the StarCraft 2 team participate in playtests. They check it out. We do a similar process. When we get through all of that, when we arrive at a point where we feel like that the battleground is heading in the right direction, then it goes into full production, and that's where we mobilize the art teams to start working on the environment art and the character art that serve that battleground. But that process just leading up to full production could be a multiple-month process. And then once we begin production, it's definitely multiple months until the battleground is ready for prime time and being released. And Battlefield of Eternity, I think, was an even extreme case of that, because we decided early on that we wanted to make this this thing with basically two battlegrounds in one, right? We wanted to do the heaven side and the hell side on one map, which was crazy. We actually had to add technology to the game that allowed us to double our terrain texture counts to support two battlegrounds at once. So that one took extra long, but I think it's worth it, and it's a great battleground. It's fun to play, and I think visually it's the most compelling one we have yet. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, the utility of this map is extremely awesome. And did I get it right that you use StarCraft 2 editor to create a playable demo?
Yeah, so our tool set, which is it's not necessarily the same editor that's live with StarCraft 2 today, but it is the same tool system that we've used to make StarCraft 2, both Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, and Legacy of the Void. So Heroes is using a modified version of that tool set in order to make our battlegrounds and everything that we do in the game.
Oh, that's cool. What is the hardest part when you're creating a map? Is it a mechanics development or balance changes?
What I've seen is that process, that early on process where we're trying to get it to play right and to feel right, that process is really involved, and it's kind of the part where you're kind of making it up out of nothing. So I think that's probably the most challenging part of the whole process, is it's taking an idea from basically its very beginning and trying to flesh it out and get all these people who really care about this game and are playing it actively to agree that it is a good direction to go in. There's a lot of people who care so much about this game and are so opinionated on it. So when we do something right, we know it, and when we do something wrong, we totally know it as well. So I think we're really fortunate to have that much engagement from our team, and it really shows, I think, on the end product of what's coming out in the game, because there's a lot of love going into all of this stuff. But it is definitely a bumpy road to validate all these things and feel like it's ready for us to unleash the full power of our team into actually making it.
Okay. I also want to ask you about the Greedy Goblin. It came with a new patch. There's also gold reward for each hero with 9 level, and community feedback is clearly positive. But Goblin, as soon as I know, will disappear after the Eternal Conflict. Is there a chance to save this guy and make him stay on a daily basis, or should we wait for a similar StarCraft or Warcraft-themed events?
Yeah, this is a new thing that we just added for Eternal Conflict. So we created this new event quest. So it's an addition to your daily quests. And I think that's part of what people really like about it, is because it's basically an extra way to get gold every single day, which is really cool. And I think we're really excited about it. It definitely fits the Eternal Conflict. And obviously there's something so uniquely Diablo about the Treasure Goblin. And it's like the most lighthearted side of Diablo outside of Whimsyshire or something, right? Like, so I think this is a new thing for us. We're going to try it out. We'll see how it feels. Definitely players are excited about it. I don't know if that it's something you just want to have happen forever. So I think a better direction for us would be to introduce similar things that are, that are their own equivalent of this. I could certainly see that we bring the Goblin event back periodically, and even change it up so that it's something even different than what it is in this initial offering. But we're excited about it, and I think I want to see how the community reacts to it, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Also another question for this map. Its atmospheralization, announcement, music, incredible as always. And I, according from my community and from Alexander, want to say a big thank to your team because it's awesome and incredibly hard work. We also can detect a unique straight style on each battlefield. On other maps, we can still see a similar thing like ogres and knights. So do you plan to change these units to something more unique and more fit to each map's atmosphere?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely understand where this question is coming from. So basically, our existing maps have the same mercenaries on all of them, where now we've introduced unique ones. I could see a time where we would go back to previous battlegrounds and introduce variations on some of those. Our focus is usually on making what's next and making sure we introduce really compelling things with the next groups of content. But I could imagine a time where we would go back and say, hey, this would be really cool if we went back to Dragonshire and changed the mercenaries to be unique to Dragonshire. So that's not something we're doing right now, but I wouldn't rule that out as a possibility for sure. And thanks for the comments on that. I know especially the art team and our sound and our music team, they went above and beyond with this battleground, and it really speaks to how excited they were about bringing the world of Diablo into Heroes. Like the music, especially, I was just listening to it today, and I mean, they did such an awesome job of combining, and they went and just composed new stuff, and they melded together Heroes music with Diablo music, and it's awesome. Like, I want to listen to it in my car. They did such a great job with it.
Yeah, of course. Every developer, as I know, and of course, because I know I'm working in the game industry too, we are fans of our work, and of course we're like our community. We're simple, but we are making something new each time. We're receiving feedback and receiving some great ideas from our families, from our friends, and etc. Coming back to our community, some players think that Murky and Abato are the worst heroes ever. I can see that there's a lot of flaming around the forums. So Abator has become the most favorite character according to our community feedback. So that's the question. Who is your favorite hero and why?
So I play everybody because I've been playing this game from very early on. Because we took it home with our development alpha, almost 2 years ago. So I've been fortunate to fall in love with these characters for a really long time. My probably go-to ones right now, I always say Kerrigan is kind of my main. I play her like a maniac. I'm so aggressive with her, too much so. But definitely, I partner up with a friend who plays Tassadar, and together we tear a lot of things up. Kerrigan's really strong in the early game. She doesn't scale as well right now, I think, in the later game compared to some of the other assassins, especially since she's melee and she's pretty fragile getting in the mix. But I don't know. I think when I partner up with people just right, she's a lot of fun to play, and I have a lot of fun with her. I also am playing a lot of Gazlo right now again. I think Gazlo is one of those heroes that people underestimate, and a lot of times it's because they don't see him often enough. But when used correctly, he is formidable, and there are certain battlegrounds that he's very, very powerful on. So I don't know, those are probably my two go-tos right now. Nazebo is one. I think Nazebo, I think I just hit level 20 on Nazebo, so I've played a lot of Nazebo. I love him as well. I love the perfect zombie wall, and I love just how disruptive he is to fights. But
Okay, I also want to ask you about the crosses between the universes, between HOTS and Diablo of the. There is a rumor that in next Diablo update there will be a plan to use a zombie wall from Heroes of the Storm. Can you tell us about the next maybe crossings between the Hearthstone, StarCraft, Diablo, and Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, most of what we've tried to do for the Heroes team is we just try to bring in elements from those games, and I'm sure you've seen we've done some cross promotions where right now you can play Hearthstone and you can unlock the Hearthstone card mount in Heroes of the Storm. You can play Heroes of the Storm and unlock a Heroes card back in Hearthstone. So we try to do those kind of things. There hasn't been as much crossover game to game. I also read the rumors about changes in Diablo 3 about Heroes. I actually don't know anything about them in reality, so I don't know if they're real or not. And actually, I haven't talked to the Diablo team about it yet. But I think as a company, we're all really passionate about the games that we make, and we're passionate about each other's games. So it's very reasonable to me to think that we might be occasionally crossing things over in the games themselves like this. And I think you could certainly look ahead to us doing those things, but I can't confirm that those are real right now. I'm not sure. So.
Okay, and I think it will be the last question. We will talk about Butcher. What can you say about this hero? Why did you pick it first to introduce it to Heroes of the Storm? And of course, what have you inspired your team to choose the Butcher?
So I think the Butcher is one of these really iconic Diablo characters that even going back to when his first appearance and just the idea of fresh meat, he was this kind of just creepy guy, right? The kind of hunting you down. And I think if you look at the heroes that are in the game right now, we have some like dark bad guys. We got your Arthas is in there and stuff, but we didn't really have a character like the Butcher. I mean, even Diablo, he's not quite like the horror character that the Butcher is. So I think he just felt like a really unique Diablo character to bring in, and we liked his size, but kind of the fact that we put him in as an assassin. He's this kind of interesting. He's big, but he's squishy. He does a lot of damage, and he has some mobility skills, but he's this big guy. So he's kind of a bunch of contradictions, which I think is really fun in the game, and allows us to do something kind of different with him. So he was a good choice for us, and I think as you'll see as more info comes out on him, his hero trailer and stuff, we really play up a lot the kind of scary nature of this guy as a character, and him hunting you down. So yeah.
Okay, and I think we have time for the last question. This update brought a lot of changes to the support class. The question is, what did you want to achieve with it, and what change of classes we are supposed to hear about in the future?
So I think we're always looking at all of the characters, all the roles in the game, and trying to make sure that we're offering those distinct choices and offering play styles that we hope will appeal to as many players as possible. I think there's not like a specific roadmap of each one that we're doing and in what order. It's usually dictated a lot by the overall health of the game and what we're trying to really bump up. Like, we definitely have supports very underrepresented in the game right now, and I think while we've made some changes to the game that allow supports to be much more supporty than they are in other games in the genre, I think that we're always trying to make sure that experience is as compelling as possible, and that the roster that we have really feels distinct and also able to kind of provide the role that we hoped that they did, right? Like, because we have a lot of options in there where you can build some of them very supporty, but they also can go DPS. There's some supports in the game that aren't true like all heal support. They're much more kind of buffing and shielding kind of supports. So I think as we move forward, especially with supports, you'll see us try to round out that pool more and offer a lot more compelling choices to people. We did announce that the monk is coming as our first Diablo support, and he plays really differently from all of our existing ones as well. So you'll see another compelling choice coming into the game that really changes your options as far as supports go.
Okay, I think it's time to say thank you for that awesome interview. I think there will be more great questions even later, and I think it will be great to hear you again, Keo. I say thank you from me, from our community, and from Alexander. So that's the end of the interview. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Nice talking to you.